But one of the things Quinn said, as I listened to it, was, okay, here's what I'm proposing. If you don't like it, then, and I think it was a directive to the Republicans, tell me something that will do this better. What would you have preferred to have heard him say?
Attack the fundamental, the systemic problem, which is the pension plans that are gold-plated, that are so lavish you couldn't possibly find anything like that in the private sector. The private sector, you can see what's going on there. They're starting people off with pensions that are not as lavish, and they're taking back benefits that they can't afford. We in Illinois can't afford those pensions that are going to those retired former workers.
Well, let's cut through all that malarkey, because quite frankly, the story that these are gold-plated pensions is just nonsense. The average retirement benefit across all the plans on a weighted average basis is about $28,000 a year. $28,000 a year. Number two, 76% of our public employees don't get Social Security. And not only don't they get it, but if they earn Social Security in a prior job or their spouse earns it, there's an offset, dollar for dollar, for that Social Security benefit. So you're talking about what retirees are actually going to have. Number three, we have this unfunded liability not because of a lavish or generous benefit, far from it, not because we have too many public employees. In fact, we rank 49th out of the 50 states in number of public employees per capita, and not because it's a costly system. The average cost of this defined benefit system is 27% below the national average. The reason we have a now astounding $73 billion plus unfunded liability is for decades the state didn't make its employer contribution in. That simple. And instead of making their employer contribution into the plan, what they did was diverted that contribution to support other public services. They used the pension system like a credit card. Now the bills are due, and they're suddenly blaming the employees when it's actually fiscally irresponsible management by the employer.
Let's stipulate to that, but doesn't Quinn plan to defer pension payments himself in this plan? And isn't that exactly what you say is a bad thing?
Absolutely.
It's just more of the same, Carol. It is more of the same. It's an increase in spending. It's a deferral, once again, of a pension plan, which, by the way, exceeds almost anything you're going to find in the private sector. That's why AFSCME is so upset over the thought that new employees come into the state government are going to receive benefits below what the current employees get.
But I would think you would like that part of the Quinn plan, don't you?
It's just such a tiny little thing. I'm afraid to say, yeah, I like it, because Ralph will say, oh, well, then you're in favor of a graduated income tax and all this other stuff. So those of us who really favor keeping the private sector healthy and keeping the business sector growing, no, we're very, very reluctant to say there's much good in it, because it'll just be turned back on us.